some big changes. We got an NDP leadership race going on out there in BC. It doesn't seem to be making a lot of news outside of BC, but it's a big deal. You guys are picking a new premier.
Yeah, nearly 3 weeks ago, our current premier, John Horgan, announced that he'll be stepping down from his role as the premier. And so the question on British Columbians' minds has been who the new premier is going to be. And last night, the answer to that question became a little bit more clear, although we all expected it to be the case, and that's most likely going to be the Attorney General, David Eby. All the other cabinet ministers that anyone would have expected to have thrown their hat into the ring have confirmed over the last couple of weeks that they won't be running for leadership. A bunch of them have thrown their support behind Eby even before he made the announcement last night. But last night, to the surprise of nobody, he said he will be running for BC NDP leadership. And as of now, he's the only one to be doing so. The timeline set forth is for December 3rd is when the leader will be announced. But of course, if the deadline to enter the race is October 4th. So if no one else has joined by October 4th, then that December announcement may be irrelevant, and David Eby may be the premier of BC as early as November.
If he's acclaimed, I mean, there's some of those differences, I guess, we see with the NDP. They tend to be centralized. They tend to like doing things within. With the Conservatives in Alberta, we've got, I think, 11 people with their names forward. We'll see how many cross the bar. But it would look very weak for Mr. Eby if he just got acclaimed, right? I mean, you want to see a race. I mean, you don't have a mandate if you've just been appointed. So, I mean, they could be entering some dangerous turf if they don't get some other candidates in this.
Right. Well, I mean, he claimed last night that 48 members of the party's 57 person caucus have thrown their support behind him. So that's, a remaining 9 members, unless one of them, decides to throw their hat into the ring. He's going to be the premier. So some other candidates that were expected would have been Jobs Minister Ravi Kahlon, or the Minister of Finance, Selina Robinson. Kahlon was very quick after Horgan's retirement to announce that he wouldn't be running for leadership and that he was going to throw his support behind Eby. Selina Robinson, a few days ago, said she wasn't going to be running for leadership. She hasn't clarified where her support lies yet. But yeah, it seems like the writing's on the wall.
So they've put out some of the rules. I don't know how deeply you've gotten into them. You see the cutoff for October. The race is going to be held in December. It's a long period. Is there a high bar, do you know, that's been set? Like in Alberta, that's been part of the problem. It's $175,000 and 1,000 signatures from members all over the province. What does it take to enter the NDP race?
The initial fee is $15,000, and that is for the October 4th deadline. And then basically up until November 13th, there's going to be a series of other fees. And I think it totals $40,000, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's going to be the amount, which is not cheap. That's for sure.
No,
but the $15,000 has to be in by October 4th.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a reasonable fee in my eyes. Make sure a person's serious and they aren't just dipping their toe in the water. Yet it kind of speaks a lot. That's why I want to examine this a little, because we got these parallels going on. I mean, Alberta, $175,000 fee, and it still hasn't stopped 11 people from throwing their hats in. Yet in BC, with what sounds to be a reasonable fee, and it's running for premier. I mean, this is a sitting party in power, and so far only one person. It's just quite striking.
Yeah, again, and like I said, he claims 48 of the 57 person caucus is supporting him. Again, it's like you said, it's all very internal. It seems like there was a lot of backdoor stuff happening. This is the surprise to no one that he is the only person in the race right now. And it didn't take long for the BC Liberal caucus to chime in with a scathing press release issued last night. They're criticizing him for all sorts of things. The BC Liberal MLA from representing White Rock, Surrey, Trevor Halford, is saying that as soon as Eby is premier and he's not living in Horgan's shadow, that he's going to revert to his radical activist ways, quoting Trevor Halford there. And yeah, he does come from, he used to be an activist. He published a legal manual in 2007 all about how to sue the police. effectively. And so he's got two young kids. He's 44 years old. He'll be he's really appealing to that sort of younger radical portion of British Columbians, and that's exactly what the BC Liberals are really going after him for being quote too radical.
Okay. So, I just see a commenter, Gail. I'll just answer. She's asking who sets the amount to run for premier, and that's a party thing. That's party by party. In this case, it will be premier because it's the party in power, but it's all internal, whether it's in Alberta or in BC. So, I mean, they could set it at $5 or at 5 million. It's up to them as a party and their committee and whatever their internal structures are. So, with the voting system, I mean, let's say another candidate comes in against the EB there. Is it one member, one vote for the NDP, or is it something of a delegate system?
It's one member, one vote, and the deadline to vote to join as an eligible voting member is September 4th, and voting will begin on November 13th.
Okay, yeah, we were talking about that. I mean, I know you're a little younger, but delegate systems used to be so much more popular, and I think they were terribly undemocratic. But boy, they led to great political intrigue. We used to watch those conventions and you'd see all these different teams and they'd be wearing the same t-shirts on the floor. And literally after one vote passed, you'd see the negotiations being made and a cluster would move across and support another one of the candidates. And I think it's a better evolution for everybody, even NDP, to go one member, one vote. But boy, we lose out on a lot of great political intrigue.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on to a little more BC stories while I got you. One you just put up recently about the supporters of Tamara Lich being pretty outraged as we got violent offenders walking free among us.
Right. Yeah. There's they've been highlighting on social media a number of different cases, and again, violent offenders going through what you might call the revolving door system is nothing new, especially in BC, but across Canada. One of the cases I highlighted was dealing with an adult man who he had thousands and thousands of photos recovered from his computer of what was described as the most disturbing child pornography described by police. And he's currently a free man, and people are looking at that and they're going, "This is crazy. Why is someone like that, walking free right now with a conditional sentence when Tamara Lich is currently in custody?" And of course, people will say, "Well, she was free before, but she, failed to meet the requirements for her bail," and so they'll say that. But again, her supporters are not happy. They're really making a lot of noise and highlighting a lot of interesting cases.
Yeah, well, whether people support her or not, I just wish people would apply a little more common sense to these things. I mean, even if they think, she took part in something that's wrong and I want to see her fined or convicted when she gets to court, but you got to apply a little common sense thing. Is she presenting such a threat to society, though, that she has to stay in jail until trial? When again, as you point out and compare, we've got child sex offending perverts who are walking the streets and most definitely providing a heck of a lot more risk to people than she ever would. You don't have to support her to support reasonable application of justice.
Right. And then there's the same day she was denied bail on July 8th, there was that 29-year-old professional swimmer. He was sentenced to 4.5 years for sexual assault that took place. I believe it was in an apartment in Calgary. And he's appealing that, and a judge of the Alberta Court of Appeal has granted him bail right now. And again, his guilt for the crime that he's appealing right now, that he was initially charged with, is yet to be unequivocally determined. But a lot of people are saying, like, look, this is crazy that whether he's innocent or guilty, the crime that he is being charged with, that he's attempting to appeal, is much more heinous than what Tamara Lich is guilty of, if anything.
Yeah, well,
again, this is in their eyes.
Yeah, looking at some of you're always writing a lot of stories and stuff. I think I'm just picking up some stuff from BC that we can relate to everywhere. We'll kind of pivot a bit. There's a Vancouver Park Board. The bike lane battles. Those happen in every city. These municipal cyclists just have their thing. But it sounds like their meeting, as soon as they had a couple people oppose them, they just shut down the meeting and walked out on a proposed bike lane. Was it?
Yeah. The board's chair said that he took a recess when things started getting a little bit heated regarding the conversation of bike lanes, and he said he didn't want to focus on bike lanes at that time, but the conversation kept being brought back to it by the third speaker, who's a local Vancouver lawyer. So he took a break, came back, the back and forth continued, decided to take another break, and then upon returning from that break, he said that he had spoken to other commissioners and staff, and that the energy, quote, the energy in the room was making them feel unsafe. And so that for that reason, he was going to adjourn the meeting. And when the third speaker, the local lawyer, tried to vocalize his concern with that, the chair responded by saying, yeah, this is exactly the type of interruption that is perpetuating these feelings among the commissioners and staff. And then he axed the meeting.
Snowflakes, and they're managing the meetings. I mean, come on, was it, I mean, I could see it if there was a big screaming protest and people were rushing this chair or something like that, but it sounds to me like it was just some upset people speaking up, as they should be allowed to.
Right. And this lawyer, the concern he was raising was specifically the bike lane in Stanley Park, which has taken over a lane of traffic since the early days of COVID-19. And that has been creating a massive, long traffic jams. And he's saying that people who are disabled or have mobility issues, who have no other means of getting to the park, are suffering as a result of this. And that's the angle that he's taking.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that goes. These battles happen, like I said, in every city. Yeah, they're starting to upset some people, though. We're losing a lot of road space for limited use for cyclists. So we'll watch and see how that committee learns how to deal with unsafe environments, those poor souls. So, I mean, I guess I'll finish up with this one's kind of interesting. BC nurse was suspended. It sounds like she was creating fake vaccine cards.
Yeah, this was happening in 2021. They didn't specify exactly the date, but because they were calling them vaccine cards, I would imagine it was when you were able to use like a little cardboard slip, which eventually would have been transferred and registered into the card verifier, as you see there. But yeah, she helped 4 people obtain fraudulent COVID-19 vaccine credentials. And she faced a 6-month suspension for that. And that was ruled last week. But the incident, like I said, was when the vaccine card was actually in place in BC.
Yeah, and some people are getting pretty upset. Now, just to clarify, because I saw a couple emails in that one too, just the excerpt, all of our stories get an excerpt, and there was a quote, and it's in quotation mark, guys, because somebody said, is this the stand of the Western Standard?
Yes, I saw that, yeah.
It was an excerpt where it said she should be fired, losing her nursing license, be criminally charged with fraud, and fade away into oblivion or jail. That was a quote from somebody within the story, not the stand of the Standard. Look for those quotation marks on the outside, and it really changes the context. But I must just kind of remind folks
yeah, and it's almost like anyone that doesn't recognize the quotation marks might not even be worth responding to or acknowledging.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes there's confusion or people read in a hurry, so we'll be a little generous.
Fair enough, I get it.